We'll be up here for a few minutes.
You said you did it when you were on. You guys got it.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, as long as you're good. Yeah, I think you can just start. Don't worry about it.
I'll figure it out. I know, I just can't think.
Hey! There we go. That's good.
This is a new hammer.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Did he take your gavel?
Yes, he did. He's got it mounted somewhere. I don't know where he did with it. Good evening and welcome to the Site Amateur Radio Club meeting. Okay, new official gavel. All right. All right, we may use that. First of all, let me say welcome to all you. If we have any visitors, I don't know if we have any visitors, but they may be upstairs. We'll introduce ourselves. We'll go around the room, start maybe left to right here. I'm Jerry, K4GW.
I'm Henry, W2DZO, and I'm the guy who takes the dues money. So if you need it, if you want to give me money, that's fine. I'll even write your name down.
Dues are due January. Still due.
Terry, AK4D.
Raymond Tabor, WX5AAA.
David, KC4X.
Doc, WB4QIZ.
Harold, N4HER.
Les, KJ4JYZ.
Steve, WA3RTC. Bruce, WB4QCM. Tim, AG4RZ.
Dave, K4ICK.
Gene, WB4MSG.
Jim, W4UX.
Gary, WA4BMC.
Bob, NC4RG.
Andrew, NC4AG.
Doug, KJ4IGQ.
Neil, did you?
Neil, WD4LSS. That's my wife, Tracy. And I'm Jeff, KK4MOV.
I'm Van, KC4WSK. I'm Brown, BG4UPN.
I'm Dave, WA4MKK.
I'm Randy, NC4RT.
Fred, WB4QXG.
Okay. We have a pretty interesting program tonight by Chris Brzezinski. Did I say that right? I think. Did I say that right? Who is going to present his program. He did this about 4 years ago. Isn't that about right? Didn't you do something like that about cutting the costs or cutting away from the cable? So. Cutting, and a lot of us have done that already. I mean, I'm still on Time Warner, but you have to fight for what you get these days. And we might even cover some phone service here too. So, Dave, I think myself are on Viatalk. We could ask Dale about the what is it, Magic Jack? Not the little cheapie, but the good one. Anybody here on UMA? Which is a new phone service as well, VoIP. If you're paying more than $20 a month for your phone service, you are getting ripped off. So that'll give you some ideas. Say again?
Google Voice.
That's free. Actually, there's a lot of apps that use Google Voice. Okay, Mr. Secretary, would you like to just give us a brief of the business meeting? Or you want to skip the regular meeting last week and just business meeting? Or did I put you on the spot? We
Are
can
you
bypass
sure?
that if you like.
I can do the treasury report while we're here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
I'll
you get the-
do the treasurer real quick. Okay, treasurer's report sitting at $3,455.88. I did collect dues tonight from 4 of you, so that'll bump it up another $100 or so. So it's $34.55.88. Paid this past month the standard AT&T, Time Warner Cable, house bill, and field day fees for Hobby Park for June were sent in. So that's where we stand. And a couple of announcements while I'm here. I'll send some stuff around. We have some postcards here and some cards from a company that sent us. Yeah, that's the postcard for the North Carolina QSO party. If you're interested in working on that this weekend, feel free to grab a postcard. Yeah, it's the 23rd. Yeah, next. Did I say next? This week? This next weekend. And also we got something from American Radio Supply. I have no idea who they are, but they sent us cards that say "Win free ham radios." So if you can figure out how to do that, there's some cards for you. And I think it's just
They're on Facebook.
yeah, I don't know what the story is. I bet somebody can fill us in on that.
Is that the guys who've been posting on our Facebook page?
I don't know. It was,
Okay, yeah.
I'm not sure. And then there's some Rars Fest flyers that we'll send around. We got in the mail if you're interested in those. And
American Radio Supply, all you have to do is go on Facebook to their page.
and I'll send those. Like them and they get any money?
Enter your call sign in the comment box, and they will log you in to win various things
All
they
right.
give away tomorrow.
So you can log in on Facebook on their website and you might win something. That's it, boss. Thank you.
Okay, couple of announcements. Bob Gates' mother, you have any info on that?
Yeah, Bob Gates' father passed away yesterday, and if you knew Bob, he's our trustee, but he moved up there to take care of him, and so if you know Bob, drop him a line. I'm sure he'd like to hear from folks, and it was news to me too. And John Kippy's mom passed away, and I think he's just back from Michigan, but that was he had gone up 2 or 3 times and quite a battle. So think of John as well.
One other thing that we need to bring up is we have we moved the date for the Ham Fest upwards, meaning that, or backward, I guess, in this case.
That's right.
So
That's the southern thing. You move it up.
Do you want to vote on it? Do you think the members vote on it?
Well,
I mean, I have not posted it yet, so.
The issue was we were running into another Ham Fest that was up in Virginia, which was causing a little issue, and we also did find out for the 4th year in a row that our Ham Fest date is now on graduation day for 9 of the high schools in the area, and it was just when we realized that if we backed it up 1 week, all those problems went away.
Manassas Ham Fest.
Yeah, all those problems went away, and access to the school was okay. In the past, that wasn't okay, but the way the weeks lined up for this one.
Let's not forget the U.S. Open.
And the U.S. Open, of course.
Yeah, which is, that's true.
And a lot of folks go to that.
Yes,
So
I
anyway,
think it's already.
what is it? Yeah, that's right.
The 7th.
So it's going to be the 7th. It's going to be the first Saturday in June.
Any opposition to the 7th of June?
Anybody have
It's
a...
also 3 or 4 weeks out before a field day, so we have a little time to prepare there as well. So carried.
Send that out to your...
Okay, good.
We're good there.
So what, 6, 7?
Let's see. Did I have any more announcements? I guess Dale's not down for the technical report. Jim, I guess Jim Mansfield's here. No area.
He's off the one. Yeah, let's go.
We'll get those. Let's just go with the program. Let's do with one thing we have to do is, Tim, would you like to present an award that we were going to give to a person, but we have not been able to do so a couple of times, so
I think I can handle
let's do that.
I'll do the other one.
All right. as you record this.
No, that's not the one.
I started to say that one.
Oh, where is it?
That one.
No, that's not that one either.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yes.
it.
You got it.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know, I'm good. I'm getting confused.
All right. Back at the end of 2012, the recipient of the Amateur of the Year award was not able to be with us, and because of scheduling conflicts and whatnot, we kept passing him over, and I regret that, but it is my great pleasure to present the 2012 Amateur of the Year award to Raymond Tabor, WX5 AAA. Who are new to the club and don't know Raymond, he puts a whole lot of his time and personal effort into promoting the club through the video live feed and a lot of other things that go on behind the scenes that you guys don't always see. Yeah. And we really appreciate everything you've done for the club, and that's a small token of our gratitude.
Sorry, it took me.
We almost messed up here. We have
Every
a
other
award
time
we
we
want
brought
to
that
present
last
to
year,
Tim,
you were here. When we
our
brought it, you weren't
past
here.
president,
So it took me only that long.
for his service
Get together.
in the last 2 years as being president. So I'd like to present this award to you. Oh, we almost missed.
We're
that.
ready. Yeah, that's all right.
All right.
We've had
Well,
worse.
anyway, it was a surprise anyway.
That's all right.
No, that's right. I'm glad you can read really fast. Anyway.
We're trying to sneak that in on you, but.
All right. With any other questions, problems?
Any other awards to give out?
complaints, or any other awards or anything? No hands up. So, okay.
You might want to mention the work day that's being planned,
Okay.
the dates, so people can get it on their
In the
calendar.
notes, can
It's
you?
the
Can
26th.
you
26th.
minutes?
April
Yep.
26th. I know it's far away, but if you could put that on your calendar, that's when we're going to do a whole lot of maintenance here with the towers and the crane. And crane has been secured, and we've got a lot of work that we're going to do prior to that. We got to do some looking, find out what needs replacing, and then make the full use of a 200-foot crane here while we have it for the morning. So we're going to stage that on Friday the 25th. And then we're going to do the work on the 26th. So if you're around, or you can plan to be around, it's going to be quite an adventure. If you were here 15 years ago, it was quite a morning. It was a lot of fun, and we got a lot done. So
Putting some new coax up, repairing the beams.
fixing the Red Cross Tower, putting an antenna up there, fixing some of their equipment, and it's going to be a big.
Okay.
big
One other
event.
thing, I contacted Larry Sharp, an electrician, licensed electrician. He's also a ham. Larry says that he can do some electrical work when he gets some time open. Just so you know, we're doing some work for the Red Cross here on the emergency generator and putting us up a new camera system that we voted on.
The projector.
A projector,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. So, yes, Bob.
I have an announcement too, since I didn't get the newsletter out.
Newsletter, okay.
I apologize. But Jim asked me to add to the newsletter and mention it in the meeting today, that there's going to be an event this Saturday. It's the Pilot Mountain Payback Marathon and Half Marathon on Saturday. And they're looking for people to help staff 4 aid stations and start and finish line. And I think they've got everyone they need. They still need 2 more operators. It's going to run from around 8:30 until 1500, roughly, depending on how long it takes for the last runner to get in. They're going to be using 2-meter FM, and they're going to use a repeater off Sourtown Mountain. And he's recommending you have at least a 5-watt handheld, or 10-watt would be better. And there's going to be someone's going to be doing the net control station from their home. And if you're interested in helping out, please contact Jim Mansfield, W4NC, by email W4NOT at ARRL.net.
Sure.
Or in person at the meeting, but I don't see him here yet. So, but if you're interested in helping out, I did the tour to Tanglewood, and that was a blast. First time I've ever done it, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a fairly easy way to get involved with Aries.
Good stuff. When is the Makers Fair, by the way?
The Maker Fair is April something here. This is the Maker Fair in Burlington. It's going to be Saturday, April 12th, from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. And it's going to be at the Holly Hill Mall in Burlington. The Burlington Ham Club is going to be out there. They'll have a station out there. I'm not sure if they're going to do any testing, but they will have someone out there, and we'll have a lot of people from the Maker Guild in Burlington, and probably have the Charlotte Makerspace, which is a really big one, and they've actually declared a Charlotte Makerspace Day in Charlotte now.
Can you put that in the newsletter?
Yeah, I'll put all this in the newsletter.
Okay, any other? Yes, sir.
The same day, the 15th of the Pop Mountain payback is, I understand through the nets, is the Dobson Ham Fest.
Dobson Ham Fest is Saturday.
That is this coming
the 15th.
Saturday, is it not? Dobson Ham Fest?
And that's when the Payback Mountain is.
Oh, I see, same day.
Same day.
Conflict, yeah, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Any other business? Yes, sir, Dan.
Subject to the Three Mountain Madness scheduled for like the last weekend of May, which they did not do last year. We need like 20 people for that one. It's a Saturday. That's the big one in Stokes County where there's no cell phone coverage, the big bicycle event.
Thank goodness it won't interfere with our Ham Fest.
Pretty
It doesn't
last
conflict
weekend in May, but
this year.
If you haven't done that one, they really appreciate your help with that, because they can't do it without Ham.
Jim, I'll get Jim when he comes downstairs, and we'll get our technical report.
And I'm going to add some other ones too that I know about. There's one at the end of the month. There's going to be a car race in Charlotte. And we actually went to the Greensboro Ham Club meeting, and they had a presentation that they're going to need some operators to help out there too. So I'll add that to our
So we're
newsletter
doing
too.
amateur service there.
Yeah.
It's a rally race.
Yeah, good stuff. Roster, everybody sign the roster going down that way. Okay, I'm going to give it, yes, sir. Oh, I think it went that way. All right. I'm going to hand the floor over, yep, one more. Oh, hello, Bob. Let's say hello, Bob.
Hello,
Bob. How about that? All right. I'm going to, is there any other business, anything that needs to be discussed? Announcements, anything? Okay. I'm going to hand the floor to Chris, who's going to present us with tonight's program.
Hello, everybody.
We
We're supposed to start every presentation with a laugh, and I found this, and for some reason I laughed really loud when I saw this.
He's serious.
He's ready to look at him. Anyway, so TV. I had a customer. I've got a horse farm. I take care of 25 horses with my wife, so that's why I actually don't come out to the meetings too often, because at night we throw hay and clean the barn again, and it's really hard to come out. I'm all the way by the Iredell County border in Davie County, so that's why you usually see me on field day, and I talk to you guys, but I don't really get to come out. I get to actually be on watch with the Raymond's W4NC live. So.
Oh, so you're the one.
I'm the guy.
You're the guy who actually watches? Wow.
Yeah.
But you're not on. Wait a minute.
I've got my dog watching. So
you got a DVR running. Gotcha.
So 2008, everything got really rocky, and we started having to think, where can we cut back and what can we do? And TV's $100 a month out where I am. It's DirecTV. It's only satellite, and that's for basic satellite. Because I don't know if any of you have come across this, but you pay an introductory price, $30, $50, and then all of a sudden it's 60, 80, 100. And unless you really threaten to quit and have and you're really ready to quit, they don't do anything for you. And then I have a friend at work And that's what he does. He just switches back and forth, back and forth. I don't really have time for that. And it's really frustrating. We don't have cable out there. So what can we do? I had the tower up there. I said, let me put up an antenna just to see if I can get anything. So I built an antenna, and I'll show you the one that I built. And I got 46 channels. I both got Charlotte and Winston. Perfect HD picture, digital, no dropouts, no ghosts, no anything. And I started thinking, I can save $100 a month. That's $1,200 a year. I've been doing it for 3 years, so we've saved $3,600 so far. TV is pretty important. I had a customer, he said, it's like a utility to him, and it's, I understand that, but it's TV. And as amateurs, we can figure this out. It's just radio. A lot of us have towers, put up something, what can we do? So this antenna that I've got up there now is called a DB8. Bought on Amazon, shipped, it was $45. It's only about 2 by 3, and it just hangs up there. And it's pointed in one direction. It's not like the old days where you had to, always have it on a rotor and back and forth, back and forth. And then this is hooked up into a computer system that I'm going to show you that records up to 6 channels at once. And I can play back live 2, 3, 4 different channels at the same time too. It's just me and my wife in my house, so we really just watch that on TV. But you could. This is a plot from a website called TV Fool. So you can go into this website, and it's got a bunch of data in there, and you tell it exactly how high you can get that antenna. It'll tell you exactly what channels you can get. And you can see from the plot point that I can get pretty much everything in Charlotte, which is straight down, and pretty much everything in Winston, which is going eastward. The only tricky one is 12. So I had to make a choice. Which way am I really going to point the antenna? Towards Charlotte or towards Winston? So for a while I pointed it towards Charlotte. Fox changed ownership. It changed from channel 18 to 46 down in Charlotte. We happen to watch Fox a lot, so I went ahead and switched. I just went up there and the tower just moved it. But if I really cared, I guess, I could just put up a second antenna, aim them both at both markets, and in the system, it would automatically switch between the two. I wouldn't need rotors or anything like that. It's called tvfool.com, and there's also antennaweb.org. Both of them, you give it your address, how high you think you can get that antenna, and it'll tell you whether it can get LOS, which is line of sight, which is basically you're looking right at it, and one edge, which means there's something in the way that may affect the signal, or two edge, there's 2 things in the way that might affect the signal, and you get a general idea. It tells you exactly how many miles away. It'll tell you what size antenna you need. So most of you, I assume, are in Winston. You probably can get by with half the size of an antenna, a DB4, which I think sells for $25. And it's basically just a bow tie antenna, just UHF. Most TV now, when they did all the digital conversion, they changed from VHF to UHF to basically just UHF, just a few small specialty stations of VHF. So they made the antenna smaller, but that also made it more important to get it as high as possible, or to be fairly close to the transmitters. So,
How many duplicates do you have?
for a while, I had 2 duplicates of everything. So that's why I didn't really care when I had to switch over to just Winston. I got the Winston News. I was able to get Channel 12. So it didn't really...
How much variety do you get?
We get, let's see, well, every major network that's broadcast.
Independents, you get any independents?
We do. We get 3 different PBS stations, including their sub-channels, which I think most people probably by this point know what sub-channels are. Maybe satellite people don't, because I didn't get sub-channels on my satellite. Only Time Warner, I think, has.
That's right. They charge you for it.
So, right, and they charge you for it.
For the main TV.
When it rains, I have TV. When it snows, I have TV, which was a big change. I used to remember any time it snowed, I'd go out there with a broom and knock it off the dish, and any time it rains, we knew there was rain. That's how we knew. We lost the TV, like, oh, I guess it's raining. Don't have any of those troubles anymore.
You get all those, there's like antenna TV and bounce TV. And
We get all the sub-channels, so if you like classic TV,
Me TV.
all of those things are out there. They look fantastic on the sub-channels, limited commercials. Great stuff. And we are TV people. My wife and I worked in TV. We grew up with TV. As a matter of fact, we grew up with cable. We never had just a TV antenna.
And you wrote your own software, didn't you?
Yes, and I'm going to show part of that. I went a little overboard, but you don't have to go as far as I did. But the $100 savings, and we've not missed it in the 3 years. We still have way too much TV to watch.
Do you like sharing some of your software?
Oh yeah, I'll share. Oh yeah. Yeah, and a lot of it's all open source. Anything that I did, I put back.
Linux, Windows?
It's my software that I'm gonna. That's just another plot point that you can see. Here's a listing of all the stations. These are all the stations I can get from my house on a 35-foot tower with that antenna. And right where it starts getting to the different color is where it starts getting a little interesting and harder, and that's your kind of DX. And if I really wanted to put up maybe a longer, Yagi, but it's broadcast TV. How much am I'm going to keep getting the same stuff. I could get Raleigh. I imagine if I was a little higher.
What's your elevation there, Chris?
I'm up a little bit. I can see from the top of my house. I can see Pilot Mountain, so I think that's why I can do pretty good from where I am. I'm not in a valley, and there's not many trees because we've got pastures and there's cow pastures near me, so that helps.
I'm in a valley, and you got trees around me, and I've got the same antenna, and I haven't had hardly any problem when I use my antenna.
She gave to me, and I'm using it
because
now.
I just don't watch TV much, but when I did the same thing, it was great for considering it was a little.
Sure, and for what it is.
Is that the DB4, right?
Yeah, mine's the DB4.
So the 4 is just
like
two sets of bow ties?
Yeah,
it's nothing.
Yeah, this one has the 4 sets.
Yeah.
And mine's got 8 sets.
Yeah, you've got the double.
I've got the double.
It's basically half of that.
And apparently you can crack mine, and I could have angled it a little bit. The reason why I like the DB8 is it's got a good front to back ratio, but it's got a lot of side lobes. So you basically have anything from the mesh on, you can probably pick up something.
Yeah.
Where the lobes are smaller is trees. That's one thing about TV now. In the old days, you get ghosting, you get breakup. And the real issue is getting 2 signals at once, and that's where your trees come into play. When the leaves are blowing and you're kind of on an edge or it's real close, it's not the fact that you're losing the signal, it's that you're getting 2 signals at once, and that's too much for the tuners to be able to lock into. So,
Are you using an amplifier?
I'm using an amplifier only because I've got it running to 3 different tuner cards.
Okay.
So I felt a little better having that.
Yeah.
I did, because of how close the hex beam was up there, I did have to put an FM trap on. When I was on 10 meters, I could break up my signal. So,
But other than that, everything's...
Other than that, it's fine. I've run 100 watts. It being a foot away, no problems. Nothing.
It's
Yeah.
good. I haven't tried it. I'm afraid to.
Yeah, no, it's been fine. I did, I don't think it really worked. I made a kind of an ugly balun. I just kind of wrapped it around 5 times. Maybe it's really, I don't even know if it's a real balun, but I just figured, well, I'll put a coil of wire up there and just in case.
Yeah.
What's the harm? So.
For what it's worth, Harold's dual band antenna works pretty dang good, except for 48 and 8, even though they're in and about that same direction as 2 and whatever the other one is out there.
Yeah, there's one religious in Burlington that I have tricky with, but yeah, that's
But it did well leaning against the living room wall for a couple of weeks.
So when I was playing around, I decided to build this one. This one's called the Gray Hoverman antenna. It's an open source antenna plans. I mean, basically they just tell you how to cut it. I had some old ground wire and I put it there with some chicken wire. And I was so excited to put it up to see, can we get TV? I didn't glue the joints. I forgot to glue the joints. So it lasted up there for 3 months, and then one day we had a pretty good rainstorm, and it came down. And by that point, we had already cut the cord. And I said, well, let's go ahead and just put a regular antenna up there. And it was smaller too, so that was a nice benefit. But that antenna was great. It's got actually a better front to back on it, and I think it costs $5. And if you've got a tower, I can't definitely put up something just to see if you can get it, just to have fun, right? Because we're amateurs and we like playing with antennas and radio, and this is radio. It's visual radio, but the other nice thing is when there's these contract negotiations going on, I get TV. I don't have to worry that they're going to be dropped or they're threatening to drop or I lose it for 2 days. So just having that is, even if you decide not to do anything, it's just nice to have that option that you can always, or DX, I can get Charlotte, something that you can get out of market just for fun. And the picture, anybody who's got a TV antenna, is, I've never heard anyone say it's not better than anything you can get. Yeah,
it was clearly better than Time Warner.
When they're going through Time Warner, they're trying to push a lot of channels through one pipe. So, TV, 1080, no blocking. Sometimes you see it in sports. Anytime there's big paper, you'll see it, but you'll see it also on DirecTV or Time Warner or anything like that.
I never saw anything on, even using just the DV4, and I just had mine up like 10 feet in my backyard.
Mm-hmm. You also don't have a processing delay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's about a 4 to 5 second lag.
And with Time Warner, do they cut in commercials? Do they ever clip your shows?
No.
They have, yeah.
They get the timing wrong.
Sure. That's happened a couple. I remember we were watching the Golden Globes one year on DirecTV, and they lost the feed.
That was it?
That's it. Go home, So I've got I'll admit it, a little bit of a complicated setup. It doesn't have to be. I use a software called MythTV. It's free. It's open source. It comes in its own installable distributions. You just put the CD in, answer a couple of questions, and if you have a spare computer, you could install the software. And this is actually the computer I run my TV off of. I picked it up on eBay for $40 with just...
How you spell that?
Myth TV?
Myth, M-Y-T-H.
Oh, Myth.
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 Oh, gotcha.
TV,
It's
okay.
my... Sure. Absolutely. So, I was kind of used to this HP computer because we had them at work and we used to throw them away. And so I scavenged a couple of power supplies and video cards. It's it's just a normal computer, $45. We had one go, so I bought 2 more, both for about $45. So we've got 3 of them. We can just swap them in and out as they die. It's we always have backup.
Hard drive intensive, pretty much, right?
Well, this one isn't, because this is what's going to be running my TV. This is the front end. In MythTV, you've got 2 concepts. You've got the back end that actually records the stuff, schedules the stuff, and then you've got the front end, the thing that runs the TV for you to watch. And they could be one computer. I chose not to. I've already got a computer running in my shack. It's running all the time anyway. Because it's a print server, it's a file server. It was there. I can run PSK or whatever, and that's where all my antenna wires came through anyway. So just running another hole in the wall wasn't a big deal, and grounding it right outside. So I've got it running to one computer. And that computer talks over Ethernet to this computer that's hooked up to my TV. So this the processing power is not very big to run this stuff. My back-end computer, the stuff that recorded, was a 10-year-old computer, and I finally decided to upgrade because it was time. And this computer is 7, 8 years old. Again, it was only $45.
Now, do you use a keyboard interface, or do you use the Harmony remote? Or
I use both. I use the keyboard and the remote. When you read stuff about MidTV, they always talk about the wife acceptance factor, right?
Yeah, that's what
she doesn't want to know.
XYL.
And right, about I got to do this, I got to hit control, that. And she wants to turn on it's a TV. And so I've got to make it work like that. But if I want to geek out or do something, I can pull out a keyboard. If I want to look at a website and watch the website, I've got a nice wireless keyboard. So South Park, for example, I watch. Big fan of South Park.
The Harmony remote, is that a good?
The Harmony remote's great because you can program complicated macros. So, for example, let's go through. So here's the Harmony remote that we're talking about. So it says up there MidTV, and the way I've got it programmed is that computer, I don't want to waste power having the front-end computer on all the time. So I've got it hibernating, so it's on a low power, just waiting for a keyboard stroke to wake it up. So I programmed the Alt key in the Harmony remote. So when it's time to watch TV, she hits Watch TV. It sends the Alt button, which does nothing, wakes up the computer from its low power state, and I just wrote a quick little batch file that says start the program. And it starts the program, and then she is watching TV. It takes about 15 seconds, and I'm not wasting power running the computer the whole time.
You can do Hulu on that.
I've got Hulu on there, yeah. So Hulu Desktop is a program that's free. It runs in Linux. It wasn't very hard to set up. So all I did was I just modified the TV thing.
Hulu Plus that you have to pay for.
That's right. It's the free version, which actually has more stuff on it. Well, it has different stuff on it. Same thing. It's got a Chrome browser. So my wife likes to watch it. There's a video podcast, so we can just load up the website and just hit full screen, and she watches it. So South Park, same thing. We can just watch the website.
It's a sign.
Jealous.
Tom Warner's jealous.
Must watch cable.
That's weird.
Sacrilege.
That's weird. We have that on film.
Yeah.
Man, that's creepy.
Why my dog?
Woo! You have to talk about that.
Now, do you just have the TV running on you just have it running on one PC? You don't have like a front end and a back end?
I do have a front end and a back end. I didn't take a picture of the back end, but the back end I bought on eBay for $125. It was a quad core, so it's a little bit beefier. Tim was talking about running Raspberry Pi and XPMC. I looked it up before we came. You can run the front end on the Raspberry, so $35.
Yeah,
And as a matter of fact, we were talking. XPMC is another type of software that's out there that was originally to run on Xboxes. And so if you have an Xbox lying around, you can use that as a front end, because apparently there's a plug-in that will talk MidTV to it and work as a front end. I looked at some of the video and it looks...
Also works on Apple TV as well.
And works, yeah.
Windows 7 based, I think. Or you can
put it on Windows 7. Now,
and also there's an app called Free Cable that streams a lot of regular stuff you watch on cable for free.
My uncle was talking about that, but honestly I haven't checked it out because we have too much still to watch the way we record it. It's a different... Watching TV like this is a little different. If you are a huge sports person, this is probably not going to work for you. Because, I mean, if it's on regular TV, it's fine. But if you watch ESPN a lot, there's no way really around that. Major League Baseball has a subscription service for $200 a year, and you can watch any game that's live. You can watch that over the internet. But football, football's a little tough, so I don't really. I watched the Super Bowl and a couple of big games. That's about it. So it was fine with me.
That's because of just speed issues or movement issues?
It's just because it's not there. It's ESPN's got that. Yeah, I read a lot of stuff on the internet. It's tough to figure out what's.
NHL's the same way too. You got to pay $180 a year.
But it's something crazy. It's something like 30% of your satellite or cable bill goes to only ESPN,
Yeah.
whether you want it or not.
Yeah. Even if you don't get it. Wow.
Yeah.
And even if you get some of these, you got to be careful what you get because there's quite a few blackout restrictions. Even if you pay $200, $300 a year for the MLB, there's certain games you can't see because they consider it local. So they black those out because they say, oh, you can get them on over the air, so we can't transmit them over our service and charge you for it.
I've got DSL out where I am, and part of my DSL Yadkin Valley telephone is you get ESPN 3, so you can watch rugby. Now, I watched a cricket game once, which was crazy. That was free and streaming.
Curling, yeah.
Same thing. So, because it's my computer, I can have as much space as I want. So I've got a 2 terabyte hard drive in there recording. I don't know how many hours you can record. I've never even come close to running out of space. So my wife is a huge Olympics fan, so we just record everything. And anytime there's a new TV show on, we'll just record the whole season. If it's canceled, we most likely won't watch it. But if it isn't been canceled and it's been continued, we can guess, well, maybe it was good enough. And then we'll start watching it off season.
Yours strips the commercials too.
Mine does strip the commercials.
By the way, that's the front end of the MIP TV?
That's the front end of the
Okay.
TV, and it's all customizable,
Right.
and you can make it look pretty. So we were watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. last night when I took the picture, and see it says commercial. So the TV gets recorded. It's just a digital signal off of the air. It doesn't get any processing. It's just digital data. So the back-end requirements are actually very low. It just basically needs to dump it to disk. And then after the fact, it'll go and look for the little TV bug at the corner, where it says you're in Fox 8 or whatever, and where the black frames are. And it searches all that real quick, and then based on some algorithms and programming, it figures out the commercial. And that's all part of the software. I didn't do anything with that. So it tells me commercial. I hit a button. It just skips the commercial. All of them. And just takes me to the next thing. It actually has a menu setting where I don't even have to hit the button. It'll just do it. And programming with the remote's a little tough. It has a web portal built into the back end. It's all part of the software. Again, it's just when you install it, all this just happens for the most part. And it's telling me right now that I was recording the Olympics on encoder 1. And these are the things that it's going to be doing, what shows it's going to record next. This is upcoming recordings. So as you get used to watching TV, not live, but you kind of plan ahead, you just kind of put what you probably would want, and then it just records it. And if you get to it, great. If you don't, it'll automatically delete stuff or hold on to stuff. You can program all those options in. So Sunday, that's everything we recorded. Monday, it's quite a bit of TV. So that's why it's funny. We watch more TV now than we did when we had satellite, because it's already there. We're not flipping to try to find something that we're interested in. It's we've already kind of planned ahead, and it's sitting there waiting for us. And then it's got rules as well. So anytime the Belmont Stakes airs, it's horse farm. So, any horse racing we get. And you can get fancier with the programming than you can with just a remote. With a remote, you sit there, and I just sit with my mouse or on the iPad. I've programmed stuff on the iPad. She said, "Oh, I want to see that." Okay, 2 clicks and I'm done.
So you're setting up your program schedule.
That's right. And it can be even fuzzy logic, So anytime Survivor is on, we like the show Survivor. The name kind of changes. So I can say, well, anytime it's on CBS and it starts with the word Survivor, record it.
How flexible is the software to, say, other sources, like instead of off the air, maybe to off the internet?
The internet, people have scripts, but I didn't.
Like, for instance, if you subscribe to Hulu Plus or Netflix, is it interactive?
Netflix and Linux don't play well together.
That's
There's a
right.
workaround, but they don't play well together.
Not yet. I think once HTML5 really takes hold, that's going to go away, and it will.
Yeah, but XBMC, it plays well.
Yes.
And XBMC does a lot of cable programming streaming.
Mm-hmm. There are plugins that I've never played with.
Hardware intensive. 3 gig of RAM.
It runs. And my machine, the original machine was a 2800 Athlon with 256 megs of RAM, and I was able to record 6 things at once and stream another.
Pretty intensive.
So.
You do know that we know your password by now.
Oh yeah, that's fine. It's a big secret. Let me change out the timeout real quick on this. A little bit more flexible than your normal DVR is waiting. What's more important than other things? So all this also works with cable, if you did want to go that route. So it's a lot of people do.
So it is flexible enough for cable as well.
It is.
So any input is coming through the tuner.
That's right. Because it's all just
You just have to have
data.
a digital type tuner.
You'll need a digital type for cable. You'll need
APS-C for off the air.
Right. Now, what I would recommend is something called an HD Home Run Prime, which takes a cable card, which is supposedly law, but it's, I don't know. Right, yeah. So some of you have had trouble with it.
97 cents, supposedly, Time Warner, maybe.
So you should, what I'm talking about is there's a card that you're supposed to be able to ask for, not get their box. You're supposed to have the option. You plug it into your own personal tuner, and you're supposed to be able to record it.
It's supposed to be an alternative for the cable company renting you the box. So the FCC says they have to provide you with a cable card.
And a lot of times they don't know what you're talking about, or playing dumb, and it depends.
They do.
Tuner with a cable card in.
I have a card in a dual channel TiVo.
Uh-huh.
One card. It used to be the old one had to have 2 cards.
Right.
But the newer one, just 1 card.
Did have the one.
But the disadvantage of the card, well, I don't know about for something like this, but if you've got their box, you can get the on-demand stuff. And also, if you're using the card, the ones that aren't streamed all the time, it's not on demand, but when you want to record that or watch it, it tells Time Warner to start sending the signal, because it's not on there continuously for certain channels. And you have to buy, the other thing you have to get is a tuner adapter. It's something that tells Time Warner to start sending the signal. The tuner will tune it in the TiVo, but you have to tell it, Time Warner, to start sending it. So whenever I click on one of those channels, it says start sending it.
You know there's a hack for a TiVo.
Yeah, there were some hacks too that'll kill them.
Again, with the web interface, it kind of just, it tells me, all the different shows I've got and the different layout, and I can organize all the shows. So, for example, I didn't like this one show, I can just organize by that title and just hit delete and delete them all. But going back, the tuner I would recommend if you want to set up a computer system like this is the HD Home Run. I think they're about $100. You can get them on eBay, sometimes cheaper. This is a dual unit, and what it does is it talks over Ethernet. It's an external box, so if your cable was up in the attic or something, and you had an Ethernet cable up there, you could just leave it up there, and then your computer could talk to it. And the Myth TV software automatically can find them as long as they're on the network, and other devices, your laptop, and it'll stream HD.
Strictly EST.
Yes. Now, but they do make a unit for cable card stuff. So you'd be able to do the same thing.
With the tuner built in the PC.
Well, you'd be able to use this tuner and then stream over Ethernet to whatever computer in your network that can talk to it.
How many channels is this giving us?
Well, this has two tuners.
Two tuners.
And any tuner that's out there can record the subchannels. The way the data gets transmitted, it's everything at once, and then you look at what you want. So on the CW, there are 4 subchannels. You get everything, but then your software is only looking at the one. So you can record all 4 of them if you wanted to. It's the same amount of data coming in. It's just you're choosing which stream you're looking at.
Wow. It's like the PBS stuff is the 3.
So all 3 are coming into your tuner, and you're just selecting which one you're looking at. So that's why I'm saying I can record 6 things at once. I can record 3 separate channels, and then there's subchannels. And I could have actually made more virtual tuners, that's what they're called, to record the subchannels, but I just never come up.
You can do 6 at a time, the old 6 megahertz wide channel, does 6 subchannels.
It all depends on the quality balance. So some stations are more 1080 is going to take more bandwidth, and so you find any 1080 channels you only have 1 subchannel. And it's a balancing of how good they want it. During prime time they usually crank it up, and the other channels suffer. And that's why you often find just 480, regular old TV standard quality, is on those subchannels. They don't need it anyway, and then you save the bandwidth for the big star.
How well do you get 48?
I get 48 fine.
One of the observations is that I've noticed is the signal level they say on TV full, say 48's not there, not here, not Wednesday.
I wonder if maybe it's a side mount antenna. I read a lot about that.
I don't know what
on their tower
is, but I've pointed antennas to it.
Get it.
And at certain times of the day, over on my side of town, as the sun goes down, they will go away for a little bit. And it's pointing straight at the transmitter. You just can't get signal out.
Interesting.
You see, I'm definitely down. I'm 26 dB opposed to 48 for the big, so it's down. But I do get it. The only time I've ever noticed it is extreme rain. It'll break up.
It'll pixelate.
Yeah. But other than that, because we record The Simpsons every night, that's on that. Example of all the information that comes through. Part of the Myth TV service, you have to sign up for schedules. It's $20. It's a non-profit company or whatever that you pay through to make this all happen, and they buy it from Tribune, which has all the TV listings.
So $20
a year.
Okay. So you get a whole TV guide.
You get a whole TV guide. It's got all the descriptions of everything that's going on. My computer downloads every night, the next day, and then I modified my script. So 5:30, it checks again tonight. So if the president's going to break in, and they adjusted everything, it usually it'll adjust.
So you can take that schedule and just pick out what you want to watch.
That's right. And I've got It also knows everything about the show. So it knows it's a rerun. It knows it's the first time airing. It knows it's the first time it's ever aired. So it's got a search in there. Tell me any new shows. I hit the button and it tells me the new shows. So every 2 weeks I take a look. Same thing with TV specials. So when the Beatles came on, I knew about it. So, once a week or once every other week, I just load up my iPad. If I like it, I click to record it. And then the worst thing is I delete it. It's just happening in the background. I've never run out of TV tuners because I've got 3 of them. And anything on PBS airs a couple of times, and the software is smart enough to wait and figure out, okay, Sherlock, which is a great show, is going to air again. They'll grab the 4th time it airs.
Now, how about interfacing your tuners, all 3 together? Just put the TV tuners together, or?
Well, now my setup, all of them are in the software. It doesn't matter where they are. So I've got 3 different tuners.
Physical tuners or virtual?
Physical tuners. The TV tuners that I bought are cards. They were $10 on eBay, and I just put them in there. And then I've got one of those HD home runs that I bought because it was on, I said, $20 on eBay. It was a single tuner, and I just, let me just try it. It's all seamless at the TV. Behind the scenes, I can tinker.
Well, that's what I'm asking. How do you interface them together?
So the computer knows that they're all there and available. The system's actually, I'm trying to make it sound a lot simpler than it but it can be fairly complicated if you want it to be. You could set up one tuner on one antenna and a second tuner on a different antenna. So one's aimed at Charlotte, one's aimed at Winston because you want them to get the best signal. And it just knows which is on which. So if you were watching live TV, which doesn't happen often, as you flip the channels, it'll just flip the tuners that it needs. And you can say, okay, always leave the 3rd tuner for the last because you've got a bad piece of coax or something, whatever you want to do. And you can weight all those things. It knows that The Simpsons on 8 o'clock at night is on both channels. So you say Winston's better than Greensboro, and it can figure out all of that, and a lot more complicated than just a regular DVR. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it can be, depending on what you need. And that's the nice thing about it being open source and flexible. You can make it as complicated or as simple as you need it to be. And same thing with storage. If I ran out of 2 terabytes, I just add another hard drive, and I just say, and use that hard drive. It literally should take 1 minute for me to add unlimited storage, which you can't do with your own home DVR. That's a nice thing. And it is full HD, like I said, so the back-end requirements are not very strong. The front-end requirements are actually not very strong either. ATSC is MPEG-2. It doesn't take a lot of processing power to decode MPEG-2. It's a bit of a bandwidth hog. We would have had better quality TV if we were on MP4, H.264, which they have in Europe, but for the lowest common denominator, that's what we decided on, or government officials decided on that. It takes nothing to decode HD on your back end, so that's why the Raspberry Pi, small processing power, and it's fine, full HD.
Is the Smith TV website, is it very intuitive? Tells you how you can, does it walk you through a lot of the technical setup?
Yeah, it's made for your significant other to be able to play with.
That would be the big thing.
So I can say, just hits, something's coming on, and I'll just lean over to her and say, you wanted to record that. She's got her laptop open. So just go in there and type search, and then hit the red button. And it's set up to record. And this is an example of where you can set up the information on the web interface. You can do this all through the remote. It's just a little bit easier and quicker on the web interface. So record only this showing, record this showing every time of the week. And you can sit there and just fine tune all the little different details that you can't really do on a cable box or even a TiVo, which I loved my TiVo, which is great.
Be very careful doing that last one, recorded anytime on any channel.
Recorded
You'll get
anytime?
a whole bunch of copies of it.
Well, I got into a little debate on the people who designed it, because I used to say always record on this channel, and they said never do that. Always pick anytime, any channel. And what you do is you've got two Foxes. You give one of them a little higher than the other, and then it won't record them both equally. It'll only record the one.
But they don't tell you that.
They don't tell you that because it's written. There's no perfect instruction manual on some of this stuff. So when I switched from Charlotte to Winston as my primary, I had to go in and change every rule to record any time. Some of the other neat things that it does, because it's just a computer, is it can archive these shows if you wanted to. There's a setting in there that they've built, so if you wanted to burn all these to a DVD, you can do that. So, every episode of CSI, that aired that year, you could just go ahead and make your own box set of it if you wanted to.
Unlike your Continental box.
That's right. And one of the things that I did, show up here. So we're going to get into now the even trickier stuff that I do. Is I added the fourth and fifth line with Roku encode. There is a couple of guys. Roku is a small box, internet streaming box. You can watch Netflix on it. Newegg sold it for $50 recently. And somebody figured out how to hack into that, make a private channel, and talk to your Myth TV setup. So upstairs in our bedroom, we just have a Roku for $50, and it talks to my back end, and we can watch TV upstairs when we go to sleep. So Family Guy reruns, Simpson reruns, we record them every night. They're up there waiting for us. A couple of Wipeout, it's another one that we always have up there.
You haven't found out how to make it pick up Hulu, have you?
No.
I haven't either.
But there's a way to do it with Plex.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you stream it?
You're streaming it, but then your back end has to be beefy enough to encode it. The Roku's only C and MP4 files.
I was just looking for a way to fool the interface to think it was all it is a web interface.
Right.
And it knows that it's a streaming box, so it will not let you have Hulu. Not Hulu Plus, but Hulu.
What's that?
That Plex software runs
You
on
can make it
a computer.
a web browser, then you have Hulu on there.
And there was another one called Play On that will do that.
Most of that's streaming though, when you stream it backwards.
So what it does is
I'm just
you're
trying to get the box to say, this is a regular browser, so give me Hulu.
with those two pieces of software, you run it on a computer. So it just thinks it's a computer, and then it turns it into something that your Roku will look at. Right. Usually you need to re-encode that. So you need kind of a strong process. So these Roku encode and no commercial Roku encode. I did write the script to the software to take out commercials. So when we watch something on our Roku upstairs, there's no commercials at all. They all got hard cut out. And turned into an MP4. They also, all this happens at night. During crime time, I'm watching stuff. It's recording stuff. Sometimes I run a virtual machine. Sometimes I'm in there watching YouTube. So from 4 to 11 p.m., I told Myth, you can't do anything except record. So at 11 o'clock at night, all of a sudden you see that hard drive light comes on and starts doing its stuff. And it's ready the next morning, which is fine with me. So all that stuff...
Beware if your system ever asks you to play tic-tac-toe.
It's getting smart. So that's the size of the Roku. If you're not familiar with it, it's that size of a hockey puck.
Is that only for Roku, or have they cracked into some of the other GTV interfaces?
From what I've read, XBMC, definitely. I saw somebody said Apple TV, but I've not figured it out.
The old one, yes.
Is
The
that
new
what it
one,
is?
no.
Even
Because there's
still,
no hard drive on the new one, so.
even still, on Myth TV has a built-in DLNA server. Yeah. So if you had a smart TV that could look at DLNA content, which most of them, I think, do now, you could stream that way. So you don't need any box except your TV, and if your TV's got Wi-Fi, it's a smart TV. And it would just automatically stream, and you probably wouldn't have to re-encode any of this stuff. That TV should be strong enough to be able to watch the native. Somebody did write another thing that you can add on to Myth that changes the file names. Right now it's a long file name of the date, timestamp, channel, sub-channel. It's this code that you can't figure out. It'll look at that data that you paid the $20 for and turn it into a real name. So Arrow Season 2, Episode 13. It automatically just do that. So you'd have real file names and you'd be able to watch it from your smart TV.
Got 2 smart TVs.
Okay, so we got hardware, we got Roku, off-the-air boxes, tuners, and software.
And that's it takes 8 watts. It takes nothing. They also have a streaming stick, which I wouldn't recommend, but you wouldn't even see it. It just plugs into your HDMI port and streams that way.
Like Chromecast.
Like Chromecast, yeah. It was actually before Chromecast, but Chromecast is also pretty neat. I didn't pay for it yet, but I'll buy one just to see it.
$30.
$30, yeah. You can watch
Anything
anything off your iPad at least,
Mhm.
right, or a phone.
Is that what it's doing? Just watch on the iPad.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
playing off Google TV.
You just gotta use the Chrome browser to play it. That, Netflix, but I think they just released some updates, whatnot, but anyway. That's Chromecast, that's another
With the
bot.
Chrome browser, you can watch just about anything on there. You can emulate or duplicate your screen
Right.
off your computer. Run whatever content's on your computer will run through Chromecast.
So that's my Myth TV channel running on the Roku. So that's what I would see up in our bedroom or here or whatever. So I would game night record it, all the commercials cut out, and you hit a button and it will delete from that interface. So you don't have to worry about any of that.
And just thumb right through what you want to watch.
That's right.
Wow.
And I picked the year setting. I've got stuff that I recorded 4 years ago that I still have floating around that I haven't got to watch yet. So far, except for the initial cost of doing this in your time, that's it. And $20 a year for the. You don't have to do the TV listings too. You can use the over-the-air TV listings, which those are only good for 24 hours. Sometimes 48 or 72, but it's worth $20 to all that extra feature. That
What
you
was
get.
that called again?
The Schedule Direct.
Yeah,
And that's all on the Myth TV website. The document is fairly long. It's a little daunting, but if you've got a spare computer and time, then the worst thing you do is you waste some time. You just wipe it and start again. Like I said, the Myth Ubuntu is Ubuntu, but with Myth TV built in. It's got a simple question and answer. It'll set up, do you want it to run as a back end, do you want it to run as a front end, do you want it to run as a front and back end with one computer. You just click through the things. Do you want an SSH server? Do you want to run a web server? Do you want to run a print server, a file server? So one of the things that we have, see if I was smart enough to take a picture, I was one of the channels on the Roku is called Roxbox. It was $15 to buy the channel for life. And it looks at a computer, a web server in your house. So I've already got a web server running for MythWeb. So it's looking at that web server that I've already got set up running. And I put a bunch of DVD rooms in there. So we have our own in-house movie channel. It's got about 150 movies for my DVDs. that we can watch also at any time. Screenshot, little synopsis that you can download.
On the Roku, for if you're not familiar with it, they do have like a menu for channels that they have, but there's also an option to where you can add hidden channels.
Right.
And there's one that I came across called Nowhere TV.
Yes.
And that is like a pipeline to just about anything and everything you could possibly imagine, such as BBC Direct, so on and so forth. So if you're a news junkie, that's like the porn site right there. If you're a news junkie, it's Nowhere TV is it.
That was written by a guy named Nowhere Man, whose real name is Chris, who works for Roku. And that's something he just did for fun. He also, for fun, made a channel called ITV. If you have the Elgato TV tuner, which only runs on Macs, it'll work just like Myth TV. And you can watch it on your Roku. So you can watch live TV, you can watch things that you've recorded if you have a Mac setup. And that channel is basically an RSS feed aggregator. It's looking at stuff all over the internet. So we watch Conan O'Brien on there, and the quality is at least DVD quality, if not better. Definitely news. Russian Today, which is
Russia Today, BBC,
Al Jazeera
Al
English.
Jazeera.
It's really interesting when everything was going down in Egypt. We watched Al Jazeera, and their version of what was going on was much different than what we saw. And they were down there on the streets.
Al Jazeera is a
right. I'm not saying it's better. It was just different.
Yes.
And it was interesting to see the different slant of it.
That's what I like about that BBC service, the Shortwave
World Service. The World Service was on there for a while. It's disappeared, then it showed up again, and it disappeared again. There's a rumor that BBC you have to pay for a license in England to watch TV. And that's the BBC. You pay like $50 a year, and then you've got a tax. You've got to pay. If you see a TV antenna, they have people that drive around looking for TV antennas to see. But apparently they've been debating whether opening up BBC for what their BBC is, not BBC America, their BBC for the rest of the world. And so you'd be able to watch their channel 4 live on the internet. There's ways to do it now here.
Yeah.
It's sneaky ways, but without having to go through all that trouble.
XPN Pro. That's all I can say.
And with the Roku, Netflix is great. I've heard a lot of people complain about Netflix, about what's available on Netflix. It costs 2 cups of good coffee a month, and their new shows, Orange is the New Black, is fantastic. House of Cards, I haven't watched it. It's won awards, right? It is different. People expect it to be free movies all the time, and it's not that. And it does take a little bit of work. A lot of people don't realize that you can rate movies on there, and the more you rate, the more it starts tailoring things to you. So if you don't rate a couple of hundred movies, you're just kind of lost. But the more you do that, the more its suggestions are what you actually would like. I watched an interesting one about people eating raw food. I didn't think it would be interesting. It was really interesting. Blackfish, that's one about SeaWorld that's on there now that's got a big buzz. A lot of documentaries, but different stuff.
So what kind of cable service internet service do you have?
Out where we are, we've got 5 megabit DSL from Yadkin Valley Telephone, which I think is $35 a month, which I would have had anyway. Time Warner would have been much better. Now, I can run one HD TV on the Roku. That's about it. Sometimes it's not a better deal, depending if you're doing a bundle service. You really have to check. Sometimes you just don't want to deal with it anymore.
What about you said something about phone service? over some of these?
Sure. What I've done in the past is I used Vonage at one point, which worked fine. I bought a box online. I think it was $10. And what you basically did was you just plugged your regular telephone into this box, and then that box into your computer. So you picked up your phone, you got a dial tone, you dialed the number, and it just happened in the background. So to you, it was a phone. You didn't have to explain anything to anybody, but you did need at least internet service.
But you can't come out the other way though. Somebody can't call you on that.
Yes, it gave you a phone number.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the new boxes from Vonage, it doesn't even go in the computer, it just goes straight to your router.
Straight, right.
And it just automatically is configured.
And when I moved in November, I ported my phone number, so I didn't lose it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, their box is strong enough that if you can run up to 4 or 6 extensions around your house on the box.
Yeah, I ran my whole house on the box. I just disconnected it from outside.
Plug it in,
and
unplug it
everything
from
works.
outside,
Yeah.
ready to go.
What about a device like a fax machine on some of these services?
It will run it, but it depends on the machine, and there's a couple of them that Vonage didn't like for some reason, and when you try to use it, it would lock up the whole system. But if you had a good one that was multi-speed capable, usually you get it to work. Sometimes I don't know if you do now. Back when I had it, you had to pay like an extra $1 a month or something like that to get it.
Vonage that it was
Well,
going to do that.
Yeah.
There are also
They had their own
services.
parameters for it.
But
What I've got-
I think they dropped that
Yeah.
now. I think it's universal now.
Yeah. What I've got is a medical device that plugs into a phone line, requires a analog phone line.
Right.
And, I was going to switch over to the package deal from Time Warner. And,
You
one of
can't
their
help it, the
knowledgeable
phone line.
technicians came in and said, no, we can't run that device.
Right.
If you wanna try it with Vonage, I got an extra Vonage box I'm not using.
Vonage will work. We've had family who've had
I've got a
monitors like that.
it's a cardiac
Actually, there's
monitor.
an extra fee attached to that because they
But
got
there's a reason why they won't do it. They don't want to be held responsible
That's right.
if there's a phone power outage
Yeah.
and you don't have phone line, whereas you were on a hard line,
Yeah.
even with a power outage, you still have phone line.
And then every night about 1 a.m., 2 a.m., Time Warner runs diagnostics on the entire freaking slick in Winston-Salem, and your phone will go
Rigged.
down.
Yeah.
And your alarm, if you have an alarm system at home and it's tied to it, it will go off. And about the third time you clear the house with the flashlight and the pistol, you have nothing good for them. Nothing good for them. Yeah.
I get the phone call the next morning
Yeah.
about what I did last night.
And then they'll claim, oh, we don't know anything about it. But if you do enough searching, you'll figure out that's what they're doing. They're running diagnostics down the slick. It kills the signal. No phone. Yeah, it's bad news. And that's probably part of it. I
Well, you
mean,
can change the programming on your alarm system, so it just goes into trouble instead of alarm.
but when I'm not there and the line really goes down, I want it to do. It's kind of it's a trade-off.
Got you 22.
So $10 tuner cards.
Yeah, off eBay. $10 tuner cards, and
Are they the ATV ones?
they are the ATV ones.
Okay.
And the ATV USB stick work well too.
Yeah, look out, those are better.
And the HD home run is, I mean, you don't ever have to worry about upgrading because it's in your router. It's you can change out anything. They're always there running. I've never had one go down yet. The tuner works great.
What kind of router?
I had the one that they gave me until last week. I decided to change it out. And the only reason why I decided to change out my router is because of the iPad. I got the 3 antennas to really work Wi-Fi. Almost any routers that you have, if they're Ethernet, I've never really seen any flakiness.
Ficom.
Wi-Fi I have. You have?
Ficom. But that's like a bargain router. And it's,
I had a D-Link,
you get
and that was
what's paid.
pretty
Yeah,
pretty cheap router.
I've done TP Link and it worked great.
Yeah, well,
And
most
that's
of my house
fairly cheap.
is already wired, you know, because before Wi-Fi came along, I'd already wired it. And, I use a Cisco front end, you know, just the cable box, the
Right.
modem, and then it goes to a Cisco firewall.
Now, the Roku that I have upstairs in our bedroom is Wi-Fi, but
Yeah.
there's no wires hooked up to it.
Yeah.
You can do Ethernet over power line stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't know, that'll
I've got
probably
a-
screw up your radios, right? Make a little bit of noise.
I've got a Cisco access point that's PoE, you know, with the switch providing the power, and I don't know if it's causing any problems. I don't use that much wireless in the house, it's just there because everything else is wired. Even the TVs are wired. You know, I brought the cable up to where the TVs are, and so wireless is just a feature if somebody comes in and can I get on your network? Yeah, here.
I did have wired stuff for all of the contesting setup that I had, and it caused stuff all over the radios. There's noise everywhere.
Yeah.
So everything I've run has been wireless since then, and it's.
Tell the real reason. That's how you ended up with the K3s, because of lightning damage.
That happened too. So everything's wireless now, but even running high power, it's not causing any problem.
I tell you, one nice thing is I just happened to be looking outside and I saw the lightning hit our pole 20 feet away, and it was nice knowing that it wasn't going to go all the way to my TV, because nothing's hooked up to my TV except the power, and the power was going through a UPS, and that was going to get zapped. I had switches in the house all blown out, but the TV was fine because nothing was coming down the line.
Also for the Vonage and the Magic Jack and the VoIP, you can take them and put them where the phone line comes into your house, disconnect. You got to disconnect it from Bell South or the telco, and then you can put that in place of the telco, and then you don't even have to run it right to the box. You can use your existing telephone wiring and just plug regular phones into it.
That's what I did.
And it works good.
Wireless,
Yeah. You just have to remember if the telco ever comes out, tell them, do not put that out.
My wife was working for Special Olympics doing she was a coach, and she was in Greece, and with Vonage, I think it would cost an extra $2 to call her, you know, pretty much every day. So it was great.
I've used the Magic Jack, making calls from China over here.
Right.
Most hotels Wi-Fi or internet.
So after we've done this big change, and you know, I finally got her on board, because we didn't do it all at once. I put up the antenna, see if I could do it. I could. All right, well, let me buy a computer for the TV. Let's see if it works, and it did. We just kept satellite along with it for about a month. We started figuring out, well, how much are we really watching that's not network? It was 80% network TV, so 20% we weren't getting. And those 20%, 15 of it was on Netflix anyway. Mythbusters, we watched Mythbusters, that's on Netflix. And Walking Dead is on Netflix. You know, everything's on Netflix. It might be a season behind. It's not on Amazon, so you know we can't live without Walking Dead. So we pay $2 an episode. So for a season, $30, $40, or we get it other ways.
Wink, wink. Those other ways.
So other than that, this PUBG hub, we watched, you know, an old, you know, training film, the nuclear, you know, all you need to do apparently after a nuclear strike is wash your hands and you're fine. You know, we laughed watching that. We would have never found that on cable. So basically anything that we used to watch, we can still get on Amazon or whatever.
Maybe
or
that's
it'll
why
come on, or DVDs. And we've not lacked anything, and so far 3,600. When I said we can save $100 a month, I said 1,200 a year. She's like, that's a vacation a year.
Yeah.
A good one.
Yeah, yeah.
And our quality of life has not gone down. If anything, it's gone up. We don't watch commercials anymore. You know, everything gets recorded. We never think we're going to miss something. The system has never gone down. It's never hung in the 4 years. It's on a UPS because it's a computer. So the power's gone down. We've not lost anything. It's kept recording.
What size UPS?
It was 250 watt.
So it'll what, hold it
Like
about 10 minutes?
Well, the computer, you know, shuts. Only the computer's running, so we've gone an hour. It's usually enough for the power to blink back on by us.
Chris, that's great.
Any other questions or?
When do you feed the horses?
Now.
When the shows are recording.
That's it. And it is just a regular DVR, so we're watching live TV, hit pause, it's still recording in the background, but like you said, it's rare to watch live TV because you spend a little time on the website, and, you know, it's all done. And same thing, the first year we watched Pan Am and then got canceled, and like, well, we're not doing this again, so any new shows, basically, we just wait. It was great.
I loved it too.
Sleepy Hollow, we watched that one.
And your noise is gone from your HF. That's how we.
It took a long time to figure out that. So
that's how Chris and I met. Well, you come to a meeting, but he was having an awful HF problem, noise-wise. It took months.
It took 2 years, actually, and 8 calls to Duke Power, and they just kept tightening the equipment. I said, you've got to replace those jumpers, because whatever they did, you know, it was tape. It just didn't look right, and they replaced the bells. And eventually, I got the right guy, and he's like, I'll do whatever you want. I'll replace the transformers. And replace all that wiring up there that looks terrible, and that was just enough to make an RF.
I remember he sent me an email and said, it's over! 2 years of a hum on 40
to 10.
Yeah, just
constant. Yeah, the only time it arcs now is if it's really, really dry and cold and windy. But other than that,
I love new power.
I'm also the end of the line, so they're not usually interested in coming out to service.
Don't you love being the last house on the line?
Not that I've had any experience or anything, but you know, they want to get that back up. So I don't know what happened.
Hey, like the hex beam.
The hex beam is great. I put it up on myself, one hand, you know, I got it up there, so it's real light, and I don't know how we had one of those Gustado 70-mile-per-hour things blow through. I looked outside, thing wasn't moving at all. The TV rotor, when I bought the tower, I bought it for $100 off Craigslist. Some guy down in Monroe, and he's like, "Come now, $100." Okay, I picked it up, and he threw the TV rotor in with it. So that TV rotor's great. I bought on eBay. It was $10 for a digital box. 270, click. Goes right to 270. Nothing to it, and it's been up there for over 5 years. I felt a little stupid buying it because it's, you know, it's really is just wire and some fiberglass, but the guy guarantees it for life. Any part that ever broke, but he does that because it's never broke. I think he said out of all his customers, only one. Actually, I had one that broke, and just one piece of it. Yeah. And that guy fixed it himself with some fiberglass.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. You gonna come out to field then?
Good job, Chris. Thank you.
You know, I don't know what they use. I guess they need the Weather Channel here on this, but.
Oh, where it came on?
Well, that was weird.
Electric.
That was weird. I don't know. I think somebody in the room's got something. They clicked the.
It goes off or something. Who knows? Maybe there's an infrared in this.
It's the cable cops.
A couple of other things. If you guys have any old satellite receivers, remember you used to hack the old Dish TV, stuff like that. Those still work on on the free-to-air stuff. So you have to change the LNB, put the old KU band LNB back on it, 18-inch dish, get rid of the direct TV or whatever thing you got. Hook those receivers back up, and there's a couple of satellites up there with all the Al Jazeera's, all the free stuff in Europe.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that right now on the
Well, no, that's
I'm just trying to protect you, Jerry, because it's going along with it. All right, we don't need that information going out over the internet right now. All right, back to normal programming.
All right, Jim, where's Jim? Do we have an Aries report?
Yes. Looking good right now. For the Pilot Mountain Payback Marathon and Half Marathon this Saturday, weather permitting, we've got a full complement of operators, so we'll be out in the park helping these guys out. It could be a no-sweat, low-traffic day, or if we do get some interesting weather, things might pick up a bit. At any rate, got a full complement of operators for it, and if you're interested, we'll be on the 547 repeater from about 8 a.m., off and on, 8 a.m. until the last runner crosses the finish line. Another thing, a heads up for March 7, 8, and 9, which is the same weekend as the Charlotte Ham Fest. The Red Cross is going to do some kind of major disaster drill in Stokes County. They are primarily going to use 8 people that have certified for their disaster service technician group, but they're going to use, these people are also hams, but they'll be on the 547 machine off and on during that time when some part of the exercise calls for communication situation. And if they find that they need more people, or if the person who's injecting incidents puts in something that needs more than their 8 people, they're looking for the general ham community for backup. More information on that as we get close to it. Jimmy Holbrook from Wilkes is the designated radio operator for that event, the radio officer, and as he finds out things, he's been passing information. So that's where we are right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. As far as your TV question, your phone question, Verizon offers some of these new boxes. I don't know if you've seen those that actually work on the cell service. You do not have to have internet.
I think they said something about that.
They're like $15 to $19 per month, so yeah, still better than $29 for Time Warner, or $24.99, $26 or whatever. So they're less than $20 for that phone service, and it works over the cellular network, so it works well. Yeah. Dale, do we have some testing reports?
Oh, we do, and it's all good news. We have 4 folks, Chris, Bruce, and David. Are you here? If you would, stand up, please. Congratulations. We have some new welcome aboard. Hope to get down to Mike's store, fill up your truck, and then let your wife can get home. Ed, if you stand up, please. Past is General tonight. Ed is going to be on his way to the extra here soon, I understand, so be good. And in terms of the testing, we had 3 of the folks that went ahead and got a real good look at the general, and they'll be better prepared next time to see how it worked out. So David was one. And Mike and the other B, Jim, John, stand up, please. Well, maybe you won't stand up, but anyway, thanks. Again, without them, we wouldn't have a program. We wouldn't have new hams in the system to continue on after we go to another place. So, anyway, that rounds up the testing. Now for the repeaters, the standard about an hour ago, or a little more than an hour ago, all 3 repeaters are up. The 440 machine, 47 and 64. On 47, Jim, it's all set. Where's Jim?
Yes.
It's It's all set for the 15th. I mentioned before that we couldn't go up there unless it was cold, windy enough, and harsh enough to basically freeze your hands. So we did that on the 25th. And we forgot a few key things. I had to contact WXII because of the 8 locks in the front gate. Couldn't get in any of them. And they said, the procedure is, try to lock 3 times, Dale. That doesn't work. We carry a blowtorch with us. Use it. That doesn't work. Just forget all that. Take the bolt cutters out of the truck and cut off the lock. So I didn't have any of that, but out of the 8 locks, we found one of them that did open. It took about an hour to get in. Then we got to the fence, got that open. It took another half hour to get into the first time ever in 20 years to get into the radar shack. Just a common door lock. That's how cold it was out there, going up and back, and it was going to give it up. So anyway, we got the crackling off the repeater. Temporarily, it's a duplexing harness up on the machine. It was cold and windy, wasn't about to climb that without belts. So we'll have some work probably in the summertime. So we're running split antenna now. Seems to be working out okay, and I don't think anybody's heard the crackling since January 25th. Hopefully not. But that should keep us in good shape for Jim and maybe for some of the other things going forward. It's going to put the controller back online, loosen chips in the controller when it locked up in transmit. So it's still on the internal ICOM controller. So we'll rebuild probably my cat off the 220 machine, put it up there, take 220 down, and then get the chips and get that set up. So hopefully sometime in the next, whenever we get it done. It's got to be warm enough to get up there. Good news is there wasn't any hornets at all. Too cold. It was too cold, yeah.
Dale, any word, any idea on the phantom feedback loop or whatever that is, that noise?
I don't want to talk about too much here online, but I'll see offline because that's over the internet, right? We have some challenges, and I'll talk to anybody offline they'd like to, but not in this forum right now. It's a lot of work being done. Let's see, what else was there? I think, Echolink. 4.7 Echolink is still working well. 6.4 we still have it to do to try to get the folks, our Red Cross partners, to change the firewall. That's all that's lacking. 5-minute change. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary here. So we appreciate what they're doing, but we need to get time to work with them and suggest this is what you change. Get the save, get the save, get the save, and then we'll be fine. That's what happened at a power outage last time. The router changed under the working with it. It gets stored in memory, and when you don't do a save or write, Harold, Cisco, it goes away when there's a power outage. That's what happened last April. So that's what's preventing the Echolink from 6.4 being up, but we'll get that up soon. Any other questions at this point? Okay, thank you, folks.
Thanks,
It's down here?
Yeah. All right, thank you, Dale. Any other business? By the way, next month, Jimmy's got lined up for March, the Laney Post, for a weather presentation. So that's all set up for next month. Any other questions, problems, announcements, or yes, sir?
Next week, hopefully it's about Tuesday, I'm gonna start a technician class at the store down there, because I know anybody wants to do a tech class. It's about 6 nights. Takes about 3 weeks, so if you know anybody wants to sit in on the tech class, I'll get ready to start up. Just contact me and I'll get them on board.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else? All right, I'll make a motion the meeting be adjourned.
Second.